Rick Bozich with us, as I said. Rick, how important is it, or is it now important in the transfer era, that Mike Woodson lands a good recruiting class with the talent that is coming out in this 2025 recruiting class in Indiana? In the break, we were talking about Braylon Mullins and Trent Sisley. There's Malachi Moreno from across the river in Kentucky, which obviously that's going to be tougher, but he plays for Indiana Elite with these guys. And, if it would be rare, but if they could swing the coup and land Sisley and Mullins and Moreno, that's a trifecta. And then you talk about Jalen Harrelson, who's also in that class. That's right. A grand slam home run. Each one of them playing a different position, but we're in a different era where recruiting classes are kind of being pushed down a little bit, but this is a different situation. These are all great players. Half of them are going to be 4-year players, probably.
Yeah, I think it's very important. On a 1 to 10 scale, I'd say it's an 8 or a 9 to get at least. It's a 10, you got to get at least 1. I'd say it's an 8 or a 9 to get 2. And then anything beyond that, on a 1 to 10 scale, is probably a 3 or 5. It's hard to get them all. Especially Sisley and Mullins, 2 kids that grew up within an hour of Bloomington. Sisley has a brother and sister that either are or have been students there over the last year.
They are, still are.
Yeah. Okay. Harrelson, actually, although he's up in LaPorte now, he is from Indianapolis, so that's 3 kids with an hour radius. Moreno, I think, is going to be tougher. As much as I know he has a connection, has visited IU. He's from Georgetown, Kentucky, which is, a bicycle ride to Lexington. So that's going to be tough now that Pope's there. But, you got to get those guys.
So is it tougher now that the Pope's there than when, what's his name?
Calipari? Yeah, I'd say probably so, because I wasn't sure. Calipari really didn't recruit him that much. I would say Pope has probably already been on him pretty hard. And I know that Louisville is trying to get involved with Moreno now too, as they're trying to get involved with Sisley. So it's going to be competition with all those schools. But as we've talked about before, I go back to one of the many things that led to the departure of Tom Crean at Indiana was there was the one high school class that had Malik Williams of Fort Wayne, and he went to Louisville. Paul Scruggs of Indianapolis, he went to Xavier.
UCLA.
What was the kid? Chris Wilkes, was he the kid from Indianapolis who went to UCLA?
Yeah.
And then you had the other kid from Indianapolis, Johnson. What was the kid? He's in the Jaron Jackson. He went to Michigan State. Now he's on the Memphis Grizzlies. So there were 4 guys in that class, and Indiana didn't get any of them. And I think that was a class.
And Indiana, you lost Kyle Guy.
Indiana was getting, Devontae Green and Al Durham and Cliff Moore and, decent players, but Justin Smith. But, people want in-state Indiana kids. Why didn't they come to Indiana? It doesn't matter afterwards how good they really were. It's like, how come we can't get those guys? And so, especially when you measure it against Purdue, which is winning with in-state guys, you got to get dudes.
Mark Zachary does go to Ben Davis. I was right. So, all right. Indiana fans are jacked, as they should be. They've got a great roster right now. Indiana killed it in the portal. But is that something that they're going to have to do every year? And the answer to that is yes, if they don't do what we're talking about. You've got to have, I think you have to have a mix. You've got to have the recruits like that we're talking about right now. These are all good players. And like I said, half of them are going to be around for 3 to 4 years unless they leave to go elsewhere. Jalen Harrelson, he's probably, not a 1 year, not a one and done at all by any stretch of the imagination, but he's probably an NBA prospect for certain. He's a 6'7" point guard. So that's about all you have to say about that. Of course, Malachi Moreno, that dude, he's got skills. He's 7, plus he's 7 foot. So that's all you have to say about that. But yeah, landing, I agree. I think you have to land those guys. Otherwise, you're going to spend each year just portal diving, and
you're going to spend the next few years, spend a lot of money is what you're going to spend, because you got
a
to
crap ton of money
in the portal.
overpaying money, and people are going to get tired of that unless you're winning, unless you're doing what Danny Hurley is doing, and which is amazing. He goes and refills from the portal, but he wins big time the national championship. The fact that he was able to,
he has a share of guys that he recruited and developed too. I mean, Klingon was a development. Caravan and Klingon were both high school recruits. So was Stephen Castle. On the championship team, 2 or 3 of those guys were developed guys.
Yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that he didn't, but the fact that he was able, that he lost 75% of his offense, 3 guys to the NBA off of the first title team,
right,
and can come back,
right,
fill those holes, and win it again. That's utterly amazing to me.
You're right. Man, Hurley's one of a kind there. There's only one Hurley right now at this point. So, and add into it one thing, and then I've got to get going. Woody hasn't done a good job of getting high school players the last 2 years. He's gotten guys every year who've decommitted or around in the spring, but last year they whiffed on all that. They had 3, was it Boogie Fland, and they had McNeely, and then they lost him, and then they had Derek Queen, and that's when they spent all their effort and all their attention on those guys and didn't get any of them, and that's not a good look.
Well, you've got to put the work in on them and give them the attention, and I don't think that has happened. I think that, I don't know if he has gotten used to the way of doing business via the portal and just holding up a check to somebody, because that's not recruiting. You're not going to land these young guys from Indiana like that. You may get a couple, but you're it's just not going to work. Rick's got to go. He's got to head out to Valhalla Golf Club, home of this year's PGA.
I really do have a bus to catch. How's that?
Enjoy it, brother. We appreciate you. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and thank you for enjoying our content and videos. And make sure you hit that subscribe and notifications toggle so you don't miss out on anything, whether it's Indiana Hoosiers, the Boilers, the Colts, the Pacers, Indiana high school action, whatever is happening in sports. We're trying to bring it all to you, and make sure you don't miss out on a thing. Again, hit the subscribe button for us. Helps us out a ton. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.